Episode 6 of The Last of Us almost did the impossible. It almost surpassed episode 3 for being the worst so far. I really despised this episode. All the good work that was done by Pedro Pascal in episode 1, 2, 4 and 5 was totally undone here. And you could see it coming and you knew it was going to come. Ever so slightly, incrementally, they've been making him more and more of a cuck. And in this episode, it came to fruition. In one of the most impassioned scenes of the episode when he talks to Tommy and he breaks down and he's extremely emotional. In fairness, in terms of acting, it doesn't get much better than that. Pedro Pascal is at the top of his game. In terms of the character of Joel, this was bullshit. Joel doesn't cry. Joel doesn't quit. Joel doesn't get anxiety attacks. What the hell is going on? What's going on with this show? I mean, this whole episode from the very word go was a disaster. The Native American husband and wife that were living out on their own in the middle of nowhere, they were living on rabbits and they were like 40 stone in weight each. What was that? I mean, I overlooked that with Kathleen's character. People were talking about her weight and I was giving her the benefit of the doubt because I actually quite liked her. I was going against the grain there as well. People thought that she was trash, but not me. This couple were massively overweight. One of them was like severely obese and they were living on 1 or 2 rabbits per day. That would just never happen. It's unrealistic. And for some reason, she seemed to be extremely dumb and giggling every 2 seconds. I didn't get it whatsoever. So I don't get why Joel and Ellie even went there. It was basically a 5-minute scene where they pointed at the map. Well, he pointed at the map and his wife giggled uncontrollably in the background. It was absolutely crazy. And of course this begs the question why this couple were so prominent in all the promo work. We know that there's a serious amount of identity politics at play with this show. It's actually oozing out of every orifice of this show. And that's all I can imagine, because did that 5-minute scene of giggling warrant heavy promotion across all the trailers for this show? And when you read any news article regarding this show, their faces are usually front and center, as if they have this large part to play in the episode or in the show. I don't know what that was about, but it led us to this journey where Joel went and he met Tommy and it was a decent enough scene. But then Tommy's bird, that chick from True Blood who absolutely destroyed that show for me, she was just as annoying here. I understand that we have to have a female woman of color in power and she's got to tell Tommy what to do and she's got to be the leader, but that doesn't make it any less annoying. And even her face, she didn't even have to speak and her face was extremely annoying. You know, she had conversations with Ellie where she was like trying to talk down to her and tell her what to do. Then she conveniently reveals Joel's past and tries to paint him in this like disparaging color. It was like, shut your mouth, bitch, get the fuck out of here. And fair play to Ellie, she put her in her place. But then that led into the whole thing of Joel having these anxiety attacks. He's walking across the road, he sees a kid that looks like his daughter and he starts to hold his chest and he starts to hold onto the pole and he doesn't know whether he's going to be able to make it or not. And he kind of looked like someone who was just misgendered on Twitter, you know? They're about to collapse. And I was like, okay, this doesn't exactly scream strength from Joel here, does it? So when Joel and Tommy finally get a chance to have this private moment, they're actually allowed. Michonne from True Blood allowed them to have 5 minutes to themselves. Tommy begins to cuck and shill hard and say, listen, we did all these terrible things, we killed people, we did this and that, and it's so wrong, and it's absolutely the complete and utter antithesis of what this show should be, because Joel kills like 500 people to protect Ellie in the game. But that's scrapped because we're going for less violence apparently. So as the audience, we're led to believe that what Joel has done in the past to protect Tommy is somehow now this massive negativity and we should be all like egalitarian and shake hands and hold hands with all these zombies and clickers and things like that. And any raiders that you might encounter on the road that might want to kill and skin your brother, we should have actually been a little bit more communistic with them. Because that was very heavily featured in this episode. Michonne from True Blood actually said it, that yes, we're communists. And Tommy was like, well, not really. And she was like, yeah, we're communists. Okay, so we have that Hollywood communism, that agenda been pushed in there. You know, the same when we had that gay propaganda shit that was in episode 3. And it kind of teeters along with little innuendos from Ellie as well. And I know they're going to push hard into episode 7 with this propaganda shit as well. And I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I'm kind of in this black-pilled zone with this episode, where it's kind of like this show could have been unbelievable. This could have been right up there in the upper echelons of HBO shows, but it's not. It's nowhere near it. Because cultural Marxism has got its claws deep into this. Between the gaslighting and the gay propaganda and the identity politics, it's hard for this show to progress. This is dead in the water. This episode totally and utterly nullifies and destroys Pedro Pascal's version of Joel. He's done. He's gone. There's absolutely no way forward for him. So they're softening the blow because he's on the way out. We know he's going to be gone before we get to the end of this season. I thought that they would have the guts to keep him because he was the best and the most integral part of it for me. What a solid performance by Pedro Pascal, but it looks like he's on the way out because he's cooked hard, and we saw that. He asked Tommy to bring Ellie the rest of the way. That led to this decent interaction between Ellie and him, which set the stall out for real dramatic interactions between them in terms of father-daughter relationship that is or isn't to be. And as it transpires, the next morning he's up, he's ready to take her on a journey, and she's asked to make a choice. She chooses him, and then that kind of led into a decent scene with some really good cinematography and some good bonding between Ellie and Joel. And like I said in episode 3, this show should be about Ellie and Joel. It shouldn't be about anything else. Everything else should be secondary to Joel and Ellie's story. It's as simple as that. But it's not, and it's not gonna be. That brought us to the crescendo of this trash fire of an episode where they made it to the actual university. It was empty. We had monkeys flying around everywhere, and a couple of guys come and they attack Joel. The first time in about 4 episodes he actually throws a punch or hits anybody, and he manages to like subdue a guy with a half rear naked crank, and he puts him out. And you're like, here we go, Joel's gonna step up here and be the hero. He's not cocked as hard as I thought he was at the beginning of this episode, and then he gets shanked. There's a little bit of a firefight. They escape on horseback. And when they're clear of the city and they're clear of these raiders, Joel falls off his horse and he's unconscious on the ground. And it should have been this extremely tender moment where we got our hearts in our mouths because we don't know if Joel's going to make it or not. And Ellie is leaning over him and she's crying, and we cut to black. It was this ambiguous enough ending. And then we realized that next week's episode is a flashback and it's going to be more gay propaganda. And it's from the DLC. So don't even bother coming at me in the comment section talking about, wait till this guy finds out about Abby. Wait till this guy finds out about Dina. He does know that she's gay and this person's gay. It's like, dude, that's all retconning bullshit. That was done after the fact. Last of Us was done as a standalone piece, and when it was extremely successful, like all these Hollywood elites do, all of a sudden we got to go backwards and tack on the propaganda. The gay propaganda has to be tacked on. That's what happened with the DLC for Ellie. That's what happens with every single Marvel DC character that's out there. It's bullshit. Go create your own characters and stop forcing this shit down people's throat. How about that one? So there you have it. That was episode 6. It was absolutely trash. I've lost all hope for it. I'm going to watch next week's episode because I want to make another video and I want to trigger as many of these anime profiles that keep coming at me as possible. You people are absolutely pathetic. Keep crying. Keep clicking the comments. Keep trying to disparage every aspect of what I'm saying because I know that it hurts. Deep down you're crying inside because you know that it's not just me. It's not just me. This must be the only guy on the internet who doesn't like The Last of Us. How many comments have I got like that in the last week? You're literally the only guy who doesn't like this show. You're trying to stand out and be different. Dude, I'm watching reviews every day of people that hate this show. This is a trash fire. This show is done. This is a far left propaganda machine. Nothing else. Of course, these guys are going to introduce politics into it. I'm introducing it into it. I'm race swapping people for absolutely no reason. I'm bringing people with disabilities and handicaps into this show. I'm bringing in gay characters left, right and center. I'm putting the story of Joel and Ellie on hold for an hour and a half while we watch two guys with beers kiss. That's me. I'm infusing that sort of politics. Get fucked. Fuck yourself. You can send whatever you want my way. Keep crying, keep commenting. Send it all into the comment section. See how much it affects me. You absolute and utter losers.